A long time ago, before geometry nodes was a thing, I made some Christmas lights. Now I'm back to update the process. Now we have better tools at our disposal. This tutorial is mainly for reinforcing my own learning. I am by no means an expert, but if it gives just one person a helping hand in any way, then that's great too. Okay, let's make Christmas lights. Let's create the wire. First add a Bezier curve, then add a new geometry nodes modifier to it. Create a circle curve which will act as the shape for the wire. "12 vertices will be enough, together with 1 centimeter radius. We want to have control over the radius, so we add it to the group input. With a curve to mesh node, we can now add this profile circle to be the shape of the Bezier curve. We want full control of the quality of the curve to make it smooth and wire-like. We can use a resample curve node to add points along the curve. We could also use a subdivide surface node and add it to the mesh to smooth out vertices. However, to best smooth out the curve, we can set the curve spline type to Bezier and then set the handle types to auto smooth. Add the resample nodes count to our group input. This is needed later for control of wire twisting. If all you need is one wire, we are now done. You can now draw your new procedural wire. However, to add some extra function, and the option of more wires will continue. We are going to now make a profile for 2 wires wrapped together. Add a circle curve and set its radius to the group input radius, and again set its vertices to 12. To get a 2-circle profile, add 2 transform geometry nodes so that we can separate each transform's position. Then join together the 2 curves returning from each transform. By offsetting the transform X position, we get a 2-circle profile. For this to work with our radius control, we need to control the X offset separately for each circle. Add a multiply math node, set value A to our radius and value B to -1. We only need to offset X, so add a combine XYZ node and offset X. Now do the same for the other transform, only offsetting by the opposite X value. Add a multiply node to the other X offset of the combine XYZ, setting the multiplier to +1. We can create a wire sag by controlling this multiplier value, so we add it to our group input. However, this will set both circle positions to the same value, so we need to add another multiply node and invert one circle's X offset. With control of this value, we can control how far apart the circles are. Here I have just minimized the nodes to clean up the organization. Control and J will add a frame around selected nodes. This is the two-wire profile now complete. Now we are going to create a twist in the wire. Add a set curve tilt node. We want to twist the wire per curve handle index, as we can control how many there are via the resample nodes count input. Add a spline parameter node and set its index parameter to the tilt value. Now we have control over the wire twisting. In order to have a choice between having one or two wires, I add a switch node. If it's true, use two wires, false, use one. Add the switch to a group input, giving us control. Now we are going to create a third multiple wire choice. To create this choice of wire number profile, we are going to use a different method. Add a curve circle, set its vertices to 3. These vertices are going to be points to add circle profiles on. Create an instance on points node and set the curve circle as the points. Create another curve circle and set it as the instances to add. Bring in a group input node and use our radius input. Create a new input to control the number of wires by setting the number of circle vertices. Note here I have connected it to the wrong circle. I will correct this soon. Bring in a new switch node after the first one. Add our new profile as its true value. Add a realize instance node to create the profile. This looks bad because of the wrongly connected circle curve input. Now I switch it over. Set the instance circle vertices to 12. Now we have the option to add multiple wires. Now add this switch node choice to our group input node for high-level control. This is the full setup complete. Now add a set material node and we will create a simple wire material. Create a new material and set the color to green. Add an image texture node to the roughness value. Download any scratches black and white image and use it. It will give the wire a more realistic look. If you have the node wrangle add-in enabled, which comes in the default Blender add-ins, you can control shift-click to preview the node. Also selecting the image texture node and pressing Ctrl-T will add mapping nodes. I want more roughness variation, so I'm increasing the mapping scale. I'm now using a color ramp to fine-tune the roughness look until I find a plastic look. The wire part is now complete. We can now go into edit mode, select draw curve, and make sure draw on surface is selected. Now draw your chosen wire. Add more points to the curve to allow the wire to bend and twist where needed. Although it's pretty good, you will need to adjust some of the curve handles to get the perfect positioning. That is part 1 complete. Even though all we created is a wire, I think it's looking pretty good. Now let's move on to part 2 and make and add lights along the wire.